Can we please talk about UFC Vegas 40 that happened at the weekend, everything that went on with all of that, and also just going to have a quick look at MMA news as well, breaking down some of the fights, the ones that I actually watched, full disclosure, didn't watch all of them. So yeah, that in a nutshell is going to be the Burt Locker episode 90. I've called this one, Bad Moon Still Rising. But yeah. So let's get into it. So Lupita Godinez versus Carolina ended in heartbreak for Lupina. I really thought Lupina was going to get it done. She was doing a very quick turnaround. So she fought literally last week. I believe, might be wrong here, let me know in the comments if I am. I believe it's the quickest turnaround of any fighter. I think Khamzat Chimaev did 10 days and she's done 7. But she didn't get the win. So, you know, she dropped a decision. That's unfortunate. But hey, you know what? It showed guts just to turn around and do that. So fair play to her. Yeah, Danny Roberts versus Ramazan. Emir. Now, I didn't think that Roberts would get on the right end of this decision. I really didn't. I mean, I thought the first round was quite one-sided towards Emir. It was the first round, I think. Sorry, I watched it kind of like quickly whilst doing other things. I was kind of mostly paying attention to it. I really wanted a knockout from Roberts. That's what I bet on. It was a terrible bet. I mean, but you'd have got astronomical odds on a Roberts decision, because I thought if this is going to a decision, it's only going one way, to Emir. But hey, you know what? A lot of people don't agree with the judge's decision as well. I mean, I thought it was close enough that it wasn't really a robbery, whichever way you looked at it. Although, like, full disclosure, I wasn't paying great attention. I was doing other things whilst I was watching it. So, yeah, maybe. But yeah, either way, uninspiring fight. Terrible bet. Jim Miller versus Eric Gonzalez. Now, obviously, I picked Gonzalez just because, obviously, Miller's lost a few decisions lately, and you were getting good odds on the decision for Gonzalez. But I could not be happier to be wrong. I always said, I'm supporting Jim Miller 100% in this fight, because he's a legend. He's one of my all-time favourites. Do you know what I mean? He comes out to Bad Moon Rising, Creedence Clearwater Revival. Did he come out to it this time? You know what? I don't remember. Let me know in the comments. Did he come out to Creedence Clearwater Revival in this one, Bad Moon Rising? He usually does. But I don't know if I'm remembering that, because most of his fights, he comes out to that. And I just put it in my memory. In my head, he did. And it was tremendous, because I remember, because obviously I saw him fight at UFC 200 against Takanori Gomi, which incidentally was the last time he had a knockout. And yeah, he got a huge knockout here at UFC Vegas 40. Like, he kept on landing with that left, and Gonzalez weren't showing him no respect. You know, he just didn't show him the respect, and he was eating those shots, and he just kept on kind of shaking his head. It's like, oh dude, if you keep doing that, he's going to plant one on you that's going to knock you out. And that's exactly what he did. It's exactly what he did. 50th fight. 50th pro fight. I think it's his 38th in the UFC or something like that. But to get your 50th fight and win with a knockout of the night as well. Man, you got to give it to him. Jim Miller, absolute legend. And I hope he keeps going, because you know what? Even in his decision losses, it's not like he was getting blown out of the water. He's still very competitive. And he's shown, obviously, from last weekend that he can still very much bang with the best of them. Because, like, he's obviously a young kid coming up, the Ghost Pepper. Great nickname, by the way. Ghost Pepper. Love that. Obviously, he'll be back. But, yeah, it's nice just to see one of the old dogs still going out there, still getting knockouts, still getting it done. Love that. Andrei Arlovski, another old dog, still getting it done, right? Arlovski looked very good in rounds 1 and 2, and I thought he was clearly ahead. I actually did watch this one. I watched it live. I was just coming back from somewhere on Saturday, and it happened to be that was the fight that was on. And yeah, so I actually watched it from the beginning. I was pretty happy. Arlovski looked very good in rounds 1 and 2. Again, I thought he was using his reach. He was just... He looked like he was more active. Now, I know in round 2, the strikes were exactly even, but it didn't look that way. Not to me. Like, I mean, I might have been biased because, I mean, the thing is, I had an Arlovski knockout, so it's not like I was that biased, but I just thought that Arlovski looked like he was winning the fight. And you've got to bear in mind, those judges, they don't have access to those stats. So it's who looks like is winning. Do you know what I mean? That's the bottom line. And Felipe... he looked great in round 3, but if you've dropped the first 2 rounds, it doesn't mean that much. Unfortunately, a lot of people were saying that it was a bad decision. I don't think it was. I think it was a perfectly fair decision. Look, at the end of the day, Felipe had to take the Orlovsky test, because that's the test they have in the heavyweight division, isn't it? The Orlovsky exam. Like, if you pass the Orlovsky exam, you progress up further into the top 10. If you don't, then you stay where you are. Unfortunately, Felipe failed the Orlovsky exam, so he's going to have to just reevaluate slightly. Orlovsky, if he gets another few more wins, he's going to creep back into the top 10 again, which is a scary prospect considering he has been going forever. Like, literally, when the UFC opened up their first arena, they opened the cupboard, Orlovsky was in there. You know what I mean? Yeah, good for Orlovsky, man. Good for him. He deserves it. I didn't think that Felipe did enough to win that one. And yeah, Aspen Ladd versus Norman Dumont. Full disclosure, haven't watched this fight. I saw the result and I was like, huh, okay, well, doesn't sound particularly gripping. And also, when the biggest story coming out of that fight is that Aspen Ladd's coach was apparently unkind, then that says all you need to know about the quality of the fight. And honestly, as I'd already seen the result and I'd seen that part of it, I was like, I don't know, I'm not really going to waste my time watching that. I'm a busy man. I do have shit to do. I know it doesn't seem like it because I spend a lot of time just talking into the void and just doing these videos that get some views on, but not too many. I would say that I do have a lot of other things I do. Do you know what I mean? Stand up. For instance, this is why I'm recording this in the afternoon. I got a gig tonight. Got to get out there. Over in Coventry at the Spire Bar, if you happen to be in the area. It's a really good fun one. It's outside, so it's chaos, quite honestly. Anyway, so like I said, this was it? Maybe Dan Hardy and Ollie got it right. Maybe Aspen Ladd was more compromised from that botched weight cut a couple of weeks ago than we all thought, because she didn't look like her normal self. She looked kind of zoned out, just not very with it, really. She wasn't able to take in her coach's advice. And that's actually going to be one of the first news stories, so I'm going to just hold off on that for a moment. Before we get into the news, I would just like to say thank you for watching. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. If it's your first time, I do these every week, and I also on a Friday on my Patreon. If you check out the Burt Locker on Patreon, if you want to show your support, that would be greatly appreciated. You get early access to the picks. They come on a Friday rather than on a Saturday. You get an exclusive audio breakdown of the entire event on the Thursday, and loads of extra content. And it's an absolute bargain. It's £1 a month, and it really means the world to me. It helps me kind of expand the show and push this in the right direction. But if all else fails, if you enjoy the content, please just like and subscribe and share. If you could share it about, I would really appreciate that, because it makes a massive difference to how many viewers I can get. The views are going up, but I need to get them going further in the right direction. So anyway, thank you for all your continued support. I enjoy doing this, I really do, and I hope that you get some enjoyment out of it as well. But enough of the plugs. Let's have a look at the news. So the first thing is, obviously, the biggest story coming out of Aspen Ladd versus Norman Dumont was bloody Aspen Ladd's coaches. Personally, I don't think it was all that bad. Do you know what I mean? He was just coming out and just it seemed like it was harsh, but he's got to try and get some motivation out of his fighter, because she wasn't doing anything. She really wasn't. She was doing very, very little. And I just feel like, yeah, he was at his wit's end. I could see why he was frustrated. I could totally see that, because in his mind, she was messing about. She wasn't doing what was asked of her, and she didn't look like she was even capable. And she's a better fighter than that. She is. She's very, very good. And I totally see why the coach was frustrated and why he said what he said. I don't think Aspen Ladd's going to be too upset about it. Even Daniel Cormier came out and said, look, at the end of the day, a coach knows how to get the best out of their fighter. And that is true. Do you know what I mean? A coach does know that. And he knows better than anybody else. So, and I think it's just the fact it was such a boring fight. They needed to bring something newsworthy out of it. So they decided to kind of pick on the coaches. I don't think that's quite right. I think that, honestly, he was just doing his job. He was trying to will his fighter on to win, which is what the coach should be doing, because they are there to win at the end of the day. Bottom line. All right. Obviously, biggest thing in the news, Conor McGregor has been at it again. He is staying active, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? Like, he can't get any fights in the octagon at the moment because obviously he's still signed off on medical. So he's staying active by kind of picking fights with Machine Gun Kelly and Italian DJs. Because honestly, this one's a little bit different though. This one, I don't know, something's not quite right because number one, it was a complete misunderstanding, wasn't it? Because look, if you read the actual story, the DJ says, yeah, so Conor asked me if I wanted to go to another party, and I said, yeah, let's go. You don't say, yeah, let's go in front of a fighter. That's like waving a red flag in front of a bull, man. Saying the words, yes, let's go, that's fighting words. No wonder he smacked you. But anyway, a lot of things, they don't add up in this. They just don't, right? Thing is, how much do we trust this DJ? Do we even know him? The thing is, right, don't get me wrong, I hate on Conor plenty, but there's something that doesn't quite add up about this, right? Because, number one, who is this DJ fella? How trustworthy is he? Are we taking the word of this Italian DJ that no one's ever heard of? I've never heard of him, right? Because that's the thing. Like, in his statement, he's like, oh, Conor McGregor, he break my nose. But then you look at the picture. Look at that picture, right? Is that a broken nose? Because it ain't. It looks like he's got fucking herpes on his lip. And that's it. Do you know what I mean? Is he just trying to blame Conor McGregor for getting herpes so that his missus doesn't have a go at him? You know what I mean? Maybe. Could be. I got the herpes and I need to cover it up. So I say Conor McGregor kick shit out of me. But terrible. Sorry about that. But anyway, and also, he keeps on saying, oh, I only saw Conor because I don't want someone else to get punched in the face. It came out of nowhere. It's like, are you doing that? Or are you just trying to... Let's be fair. People now know who he is. Do you know what I mean? They've now heard of DJ Fashionetti or whatever his name is. I literally didn't even write his name down. I don't care for him that much. But it sounds like he's just trying to get as much press as he can off of this incident because Conor McGregor is famous as fuck and he is like, because people going, oh well, he wouldn't just be suing him for like the money and for like the name recognition because I mean he's already a recognised name anyway. Is he? I mean, maybe in DJ circles, sure, but in the real world, if you walk down the street and ask 10 people who is Conor McGregor, maybe as many as 8 people would go, yeah, he's that Irish fighting fella that keeps on bashing people on the red carpet, right? If you asked, before this incident, if you asked 10 people who is DJ Fashionetti, I think you would get, but unless you're in Italy or walking through somewhere that's like DJ centric, you would get blank looks and like, who are you talking about? So don't tell me that he hasn't benefited from this. He has, because he's got like that name recognition out there. And also, thing is like, people are saying, oh, Conor should be locked up and all that bullshit. Come on, man. That's not a thing to get... He's not getting locked up for that. Stop being so goddamn sensitive. Do you know what I mean? He is a wild man. Like, I can't believe I'm coming to Conor's defence here. I really can't, because I do think he's probably a complete knobhead. But at the end of the day, he's doing what fighters do. He's going out there, he's like getting into scraps. There's some very high profile former boxers that a lot of people walk around. People will shout at Conor McGregor saying, oh, the man should be locked up, it's disgusting what he's done. But they'll still wear a Mike Tyson t-shirt. Huh? Because people forget about all those kind of things, don't they? Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure Tyson's a nice guy now. Back in the day, I don't know, he did some pretty bad stuff, didn't he? Way worse than what Conor's doing, if I'm being totally honest. And that was before camera phones, before the internet. So God knows what Mike Tyson and those guys got up to in the 80s. Do you know what I mean? So get some perspective, people. Conor McGregor is not going to prison for that shit, and nor should he. Do you know what I mean? He gave a DJ a little slap. And also, not being funny, but a lot of this doesn't quite add up, does it? Because the DJ is sitting there going, yeah, he broke my nose. That's not a broken nose, right? So he's either lying or he's exaggerating. And ask yourself this, if he's lying or exaggerating about that, or if he's at least hiding some truths about the event, what other truths is he hiding? because we're only getting one version of events. That's all we're getting, him and his missus, right? That's literally all we've got. So when you know that actually some of it, at least some of it, the broken nose, that's fictional. We know that. Look at his face. That's not a broken nose, right? So we know that that part is fabricated. So I would ask, how much more of it is fabricated? It's worth pondering. It's worth pondering, because whether you like Conor McGregor or not, he is a target for this kind of thing now, because people will want to sue him to try and get money. Now, I'm not coming to it. I do think that Conor McGregor's got off the deep end a bit, but it is at least funny. Do you know what I mean? And he is a fighter. He's a wild man. Come on. Do you know what I mean? It's part of the allure. He is literally the embodiment of anyone, any place, any time. And you know what? There's at least a part of you, as an MMA fan, that's got to respect that. Got to respect that hustle. He's staying busy. I love it. So yeah, then we're just going to Troll of the Week. So we've got Brendan Schaub agrees, which is, that's a funny one, because it's thing is, they always do these ones, right? Brendan Schaub, like he's like he does always do that. He just agrees with Rogan, like for kind of like whatever he says. So this one is literally like, hey dude, yeah, I love women. I'm totally into them. And then Rogue's like, I'm attracted to men. Dude, men, I agree. Fuck me, daddy. It's like, because the thing is, Sharp does tend to like bring up these things where he's like, yeah, well, I'm completely against this fighter. And Rogan's like, no, I quite like him. He's like, yeah, me too. Yeah. Bless him. But yeah, no, it's good. I like Brendan Schaub. I think he's actually pretty funny. I like Spider-Man. But yeah, anyway, this one, legendary fighters. We've got some legendary fighters in the octagon. Legendary fights for legendary fighters. We've got Shogun Hua against Dan Henderson. What a legendary matchup. Of course, Robbie Lawler against, oh my God, why can't I remember his name? But I'll tell you what, my memory is getting so shit these days. Rory Mcdonald, thank God for that. So yeah, I'll find him eventually. It's the Alzheimer's. It's setting in. I need to either drink less or no. I don't think that's the answer. That's never the answer. I'm not doing that. Anyway, yeah, Rory Mcdonald against Robbie Lawler. What a classic matchup. Then you've got Yaya Rodriguez against the Korean Zombie. Wow, woo woo, crazy. Then you've got John Jones versus his fiance. What a classic pugilistic tear up. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. Legendary fights, legendary fighters. And then the last one, Joe Rogan is obviously, he's gotten this beef with CNN because they've been saying that he's been taking horse tranquilizers and all that. So yeah, and the thing is, it's weird because, you know, CNN are making stuff up. Basically, because they're not horse tranquilizers, you got them from a doctor. But either way, I'm not going to go into the ins and outs of it, but this is funny. It's like Joe Rogan comes down and says, hey, look, I've been drinking lots of water. And then CNN goes out, so Joe Rogan promotes ingesting liquid commonly used as engine coolant. Because, yeah, that's another use for water. And, yeah, you know what, CNN will try and do anything to discredit Joe Rogan these days. And I won't stand for it, because Joe Rogan is my Oprah, and I love that dude. But, yeah, so the next UFC event is Vittori versus Costa, I think. UFC. Let's have a look. Let's have a look at UFC.com. Yeah, I'm fairly certain the main event is Vittori versus Costa, which is quite a good main event, to be fair. It should be quite a fun one. But let's have a quick look. Yeah, here we go, yeah. Vittori versus Costa. Who else is on this card? Let's have a sneaky look now. Just a very, very sneaky look. Grant Dawson against Ricky Glenn's on there. Jessica Rose. Alex Caceres is on there. Dwight Grant. Oh, Francisco Trinaldo's still fighting. Holy shit, I thought he was dead. Yeah, no, there's a few decent fights on there, and I will be making all of my... Oh, Mason Jones is on there. Sweet. I love Mason Jones. He was the flyweight and lightweight champion in Cage Warriors. Really good. Welsh kid. He's got like 5 black belts in all in different disciplines. He looked really good against... Alan, a French fella, like last time out, but he got like disqualified or it was a no contest or something. But either way, Mason Jones was tearing him apart, and I look forward to seeing him against David Onama, who I've never heard of. I'll do some more look into that. But Karma Worthy's back on there against Joe Herbert. That's a decent fight as well. Yeah, you got some really good fights on there. I will be making all my picks for that card. I'll be doing I'll go through the whole thing on the audio only Patreon Burt Locker fights in 15 for UFC Vegas 41, spectacular. And yeah, the Burt Locker UFC fights in 15 for UFC Vegas 41 or UFC Fight Night 96, whichever you want to call it, Costa versus Vittori. That'll be up on my Patreon on Friday. On Saturday, be up on my YouTube, and I'll be putting some terrible bets out there. I'll be breaking down the fights. I'll be doing some research into why I think there's certain value on certain outcomes. Usually it's on the methods. And yeah, so until then, keep those odds long and those bets terrible.